Hello everyone and welcome to Gaming FTL. My name is Josh and it's time to talk about Crypt of the Necrodancer, which is out of early access now, and essentially it is a dungeon crawler that has been sped up and juiced up using the wonderful and exciting music of Danny Baranowski, who you may know as the composer for Super Meat Boy and Binding of Isaac. And the music is undoubtedly the main attraction to this game because it makes you feel cool and excited when you're doing well, and it's entertaining to listen to when you're not doing so well. Quite a lot of the game is themed around musical versions of classic roguelike and dungeon crawling tropes. For instance, there's a Minotaur who instead of horns has a harp. That's brilliant. And look at this shopkeeper. He is fantastic. And from the way I look at it, it uses this kind of dancey, awesome music to speed up the thought processes and kind of strategy and speed of a standard roguelike / dungeon crawler, because normally you have a lot of space and a lot of time to think about your loot, the magic you're going to use, the enemies you're going to kill, how the enemies are going to react to you, but all of that is condensed down into very quick decision making. And it does this by making you jump along to the beat. Obviously when you're first starting out and learning, you won't get it perfect all the time, but you're encouraged firstly because it's a fun thing to do, and also because it builds up your multiplier, which gives you cash bonuses, and with some of the items it even gives you damage bonuses. And you will end up eventually with a plethora of different kinds of items to use. They change how you fight, how you move, and sometimes just give you cool magical abilities to use, like being able to freeze everything on screen. You introduce the items into your game by collecting diamonds in each of the levels. And it's done like this to act as a barrier, so the better you do, the more expensive and cool weapons you can put into your game. But also, if you're not doing as well, you can spend those diamonds on something like cheese, which heals you. If all the items were just flung at you from the beginning, there would be way too much to learn, because not only do you have to figure out how to use the items, you also have to figure out the patterns of the enemies, and this is probably the most difficult part of the game, and it's not an easy game to start off with. Each time you enter a new zone, you'll spend a few deaths figuring out which beats each of the enemies does their attack on, or how they move depending on where you are in relation to them. This choreography is definitely my favourite part of the game. As I said earlier, if you get things right, it feels really good to be kind of doing a dance with your enemy, making them move in certain ways, jumping out of the way of their attacks, and eventually beating them. If you manage to do that without getting hit, it looks and feels so slick. But if you get it wrong, it's just good fun to be doing the game, which I know doesn't make a lot of sense and is very rambly, but it's hard to explain how fun even losing in this game is. Like a lot of games, losing is part of the fun, it's part of the learning experience, but putting that into words just makes my brain go. Each of the zones is divided into 3 levels plus a boss level. Each of the procedurally generated levels has a mini-boss in it which you must kill before you get to go down to the next level, and so on. The end bosses aren't necessarily the hardest part of the game if you've got some half-decent gear, but they all have a cool gimmick. For instance, the Conga King boss has a conga line of zombies, and on each of the, where you'd kick your leg out and go, hey, you have to stop and miss that beat, otherwise he gets angry at you and comes and charges at you. This game is really accessible because despite the fact that it can get quite complicated, all you ever have to use are the arrow keys just for attacking and movement, and combinations of them activate spells. I really like it because I can just put the game on my laptop, and if I'm out and about, or I don't know, on a train for whatever reason, I can just use one hand and use my other hand for other things. So thank you everyone for watching. If you want to discover more cool, free, weird and interesting indie games through reviews and let's plays, then subscribe for daily videos, and I will see you next time.